How's it going, everybody? I'm back in Fallout 4, and this time I'm actually going to be building a source of electricity for Croup Manor. So, I actually don't do a whole lot of building in this video. I do a whole lot of decorating and lining up these pieces, pretty much. So, all I'm doing right here is I downloaded the solar panel mod. Don't remember exactly what it's called. No Respawns did a mod review for it, and it's a awesome mod. It adds a bunch of stuff. I wish that I could just build these things out of resources, but you have to like go into the chem station and build all these like special parts, which I mean, it makes sense if you think about it when it comes to like RP and stuff. If you're just role playing, you have to have all these special parts and everything, and it makes sense to have to get these special parts or craft these special parts to be able to craft these and have all these perks and stuff. But it is kind of frustrating if you're just trying to build, is all. And but it's not bad. They still add some interesting things. Like so, I built a bunch of the parts for the solar panels, and I placed down a bunch of them, and then I picked them all up because I just wanted to figure out how I wanted to place them down. So I put them in this kind of like pattern to where it was like one in front of the other so that they're kind of lined up evenly. And then I think, yeah, I grab a control unit and I put it on the end. Uh, this isn't actually how I've powered my settlement. I have a generator down on the side of the settlement. I thought about putting control units between all of them, but I ended up going against that. I have a generator down on the bottom floor, though, or down on the ground next to the house. And then right here, I was trying to figure out if maybe I could have put this behind those, and it was a little too tall. Or it wasn't tall enough, sorry. The middle one was a little too tall. But the next thing that I do is I'm just looking for something. So I know that, yeah, I go to the windmills. So at first I wanted to place down something that would actually produce power. So I put this down. Instead of having the generator on the bottom floor, I wanted to have one up here. And so I end up getting rid of that generator right there because I decided that I want to have a windmill. This place will be a little bit better about like green energy, I guess. I don't know why. That's just what I decided to place here. Then I thought about putting one up on top of that. So what I do is I end up placing it down up here, connecting the wires beforehand, grab the place anywhere tool, and then I just sit here and try to use the place anywhere tool for I don't know how long before eventually I get out a rug and I pick up the windmill with the rug. Like I said before in the last video, I have so many issues with Place Anywhere, I cannot get it to work half the time. Right here I just need to make sure that it was actually working, and eventually it finally picks it up. And then right here I pretty much line up that left side and this right side, the pillars, and I lift it up a little bit. It's not quite as high as I need it to be or as lined up. Well, not well lined up, but the actual windmill in the front, they were colliding, so I wanted them to not collide. And I spent a lot of time looking at that, actually, trying to figure out if they're colliding or not. And they're pretty much timed up to where they're not going to collide into each other, which is pretty useful because it took like 2 tries, which is a lot nicer than sitting here messing with it forever. And then just for some extra power, I add a generator and connect it to the windmill. I'll probably connect this to the like power lines on the side of the house downstairs at some point. And yeah, so the next thing I do is I try to make it look a little bit sturdier. So then I just grab a junk wall, and being up on the roof, it's kind of hard to use Place Anywhere So I keep having to place things kind of like off the side. And then I'm just lining the left side of the junk wall with the pillar of the windmill. Or, well, I'm sorry, the right side of the junk wall with the pillar of the windmill. And then that left side, I just tried to make it where the pillar was kind of hanging out. And I was going to close off that front part too, but I ended up not doing that. And then trying to figure out how to do a wall up the side of it to kind of make it look a little junkier and also a little bit more closed off. I went ahead and I grabbed the green junk wall. It's like the texture from Diamond City. And I placed it to where the pipes on the side of the windmill of the the airplane uh, piece is still sticking through, but so are all the metal pieces in the front, but the actual like part of the airplane's not. And so then an issue I had is I lost my place anywhere tool in there, which was really frustrating. But right there you can see it actually fits perfectly fine. And then this is me messing with this, trying to figure out how to get my place anywhere tool out without having to pick things up. So I leave it there for a little while. And then I'm just trying to figure out how to close off this front section. And I figured that I wanted it to be a little scrappy, you know. They're just like piling stuff in front of it rather than having all the junk walls and stuff too. So I grabbed some piece from the junk wall decoration pack, and I liked how the couch on this side kind of it's got like a little bit of a wedge on the end, so you can kind of fit something into the side of the couch. And so to do that, I just put it on a rug. I picked it up, and then I tried to line up the arm of the couch with the side of the junk wall to where it kind of looked like it was like pressed up against it. I didn't put it quite far enough to the left, so I ended up moving it. And then it's kind of glitched in. I have to move it out. And this is the majority of all my builds, so like just a lot of trial and error, just picking stuff up and then pushing it farther into it and stuff. It just, that's how building in Fallout works most of the time for me, is I have to sit here and mess with stuff for a very long time before it eventually works. And then sometimes it turns out cool. But I fixed the time, don't worry, I'm not going to leave it night forever. And on the front of the roof, I placed some cinder blocks, and then also here in a minute some sandbags. And I'm just trying to make it look a little bit more built up here, a little bit better defended and stuff. And for some reason, the part that bothers me the most is that it's not like rendering the bottom layer of cinder blocks. It's like leaving out layers in the shadow. That's the part that bothers me the most about this. And like it makes it kind of look like it's floating even though it isn't. And then eventually to get the place anywhere tool, I have to pick up the junk wall again. And it's easy to get it back into place. I just line up that right side and then place it, and boom, it fits right in. I move that junk wall out a little bit and it fits. So then I pick up these cinder blocks, and so this is the main problem I have, is it kind of looks like it's floating, which is why I ended up piling a bunch of sandbags in front of it. Also, I added an extra layer of cinder blocks, and it did the same thing. It looks like it's floating because of the light, but it's lined up with the other piece. So do the same thing on the other side, trying to fill in that space. And you can see on this side it doesn't look that bad until you look at it from a certain angle. And then I fill in this space in the middle. I don't think that I use the cinder block. Yeah, I just go back to sandbags. I was looking at other things that I could put, and eventually I decided that I'd put sandbags kind of glitched into it. So I place it down in front of it, And then after messing with it for a second, I was like, how can I get this close enough? And I was like, they could pile sandbags onto the cinder blocks, so it's not like this would be impossible. And it would look goofy if I just left it like that. So what I do after, and apparently it's not going to let me build up here. I was having some issues with that too, is just not being able to place things like I wanted. But to kind of combat the whole things look like they're floating and clipping through, I just cover them up with some more sandbags, and I try to place them at different angles and facing different ways to get rid of the like repeating textures, because when you have them facing the opposite directions, it looks a little bit better. But right there you can see you can't see any more clipping or anything like that. And then this is me just sitting here trying to figure out how to use a tent. And after I gave up on that, I just went back to the junk walls, and I just found some of the scrappier pieces in the junk wall decoration pack, made out of some just random junk that would be laying around. Trying to figure out where to place it, because I just kind of wanted some pieces to block off the edges of the roof, so that people are less likely to fall off, you know. I'm just trying to make it a little bit safer, I suppose. Also a little bit better defended, because this is going to be like it's a vantage point, and then also like our source of power. So it's going to have to be a little bit defended. And then I just line that up with the edge of the roof. That table on the opposite side, you can see the legs of the table. I'm just trying to get them to not glitch through the edge of the house. And then also line up the edge of the bed frame on the left with the fence of the junk wall. And then I go back to that, and I find the shelf right here. Yeah, the shelf on its side with plywood pieces. It's a pretty simple piece, and it fills in gaps pretty easily. Thought about using this bigger piece to fill it in, but I didn't really know where it would actually fit in very well. I really wish that I had used this, and this kind of inspired my next build, which I'll just go ahead and let you guys know now. It's a shooting range. Somebody had mentioned that I should build a shooting range. That's the main thing that inspired me to build a shooting range, is somebody had suggested it whenever I actually like finish editing that video and stuff and do the voiceover. I'll figure out who it was that suggested it. But yeah, so I just so you guys know, I wanted to use that. And that's a very, very short video. It didn't take very long for me to build it at all. It's really simple, but it's just a lot of decoration. And then there's something else that someone had suggested that I kind of try to do in it. I try to build like my own workbench, like a weapons workbench at that shooting range. But yeah, this is like the finishing touches to the house, actually. This is actually like the last thing that I did on the house. So, just move that out of the way. I kept it in that spot right there for the tour. And apparently, I just stayed on that screen for a really long time. But, here's the finished tour. I'm kind of running to the back of the house because you can see it a little bit better from there. We've got the two windmills stacked up on top of each other with the junk wall on the side, so that it just looks a little bit better built up. So, I'll be honest, like overall, this house isn't quite what I had thought about building, but I'm still like really pleased with how it turned out. I had thought about building a lot more like onto it, like how I did with the sniper's nest, and then also the like recreation room. I had thought about doing a lot of stuff like that, but I ended up not doing a whole lot like that. But I really like the way that this looks up here. I think that this is a really cool way to use the roof. And I get plenty of power from it. I can place, I mean, okay, so with the solar panels, you have to place down like an actual like electric source separate. They don't actually generate electricity, but I have an excuse to do that now. So that's nice. But overall, I think that this is a really cool looking build. That was me just trying to dodge looking at the place anywhere tool, and you'll see me try to dodge it again because it's in the way. But let me know what you guys think of this build. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe. Give me any ideas or anything, or tell me where you guys want to see me go next. I'm not done with this settlement yet, but I'd still like to know. And thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.